The buyer presentation, or better yet, the buyer conversation, is a crucial yet often overlooked part of a successful real estate business. When having a buyer conversation, the materials and how you present are a very important part of the process. I'll talk in other videos about how to have the buyer conversation, but in this video I wanted to do a quick overview of what I think should be included in a buyer's packet. I like to include a copy of the home buyer book. It's a personalized book that includes information about the agent, but more importantly, information about the home buying process. Walks through various terms, how the process works, and includes a flow chart of the buying process. Talks about lending, and then has a glossary of useful terms for a buyer to understand as part of the process. This book gives the buyer something concrete to go through and something they can review at home later. Shows the agent is well-prepared professional, a serious business owner, and as a resource for information. Additionally, we've had these handed to our referrals before. Our agents would show up to meet with a new referral, and the new client already had a copy of the book because the old client had given it to their friend. The agent now already has trust and credibility, and this is someone they just met. I also include all the required agency disclosure forms, the lead paint information, and the mold pamphlet. This is an easy way to make sure you always include these forms. They're in your packet and always provided to your client. I've also got a sample of an inspection report. I found that it is very helpful to give clients a sample inspection. Often they haven't seen one before or haven't in a really long time. It's a good idea to show them what to expect. Now, I like to use a property that is newer or more expensive because it shows buyers that even nice houses have things that need to be repaired. This also helps identify which items are really important and which are not. I also like to show them a really bad inspection report to give them a standard of what a good report should look like. It's easier to get over the panic of things on a report and focus on negotiation this way. I also like to include a copy of the purchase and sale agreement. I'm just amazed at how many times a first-time buyer sees one during the rush and panic of getting an offer in on a hot property. There are a ton of questions and nuances to the agreement, and if you have a sample, you can work through the entirety of the contract so there are no surprises to your client, and they'll be educated on the process. Now, this also allows for any issues to be brought up right away. For example, we've all had a situation where you've called the buyer's lender for an update, and they mention they're not their lender anymore. They switched. Well, the buyer does have the right to switch, but it can be considered a material fact of the contract, and the various timelines need to be maintained. Loan commitments, updating the title company, etc. So now you're scrambling. If you had gone over the contract in advance in detail, the buyer would be aware that they had a limited time to pick a lender and they'd need to notify the sellers of any switch. This shows value. Educating the client and proactively preventing potential problems down the road. These are just a couple of examples of what could be part of your buyer's presentation. Yours may be different, but I do think these are key materials to have during your buyer presentation and conversation. So hopefully this gives you a starting point in what you need to be having in your own materials.